My life's pretty standard for a young teacher, really. I'm Maya, and after grinding away at a teacher training college, I finally landed a gig at one of the best schools around. My plans? Teach, maybe write a bit on the side, and start a family with the right guy, whenever he decided to show up. That right guy thing happened faster than I expected, courtesy of my college buddy, Jess. Maya, you have to meet Tom, Jess had insisted over coffee one windy Saturday afternoon. He's looking for something real, and you too. I dunno, I just have a feeling about this. Tom and I met at a local dive bar that evening. He was easy to spot, a head taller than most and with a laugh that filled up the room. I was nervous, fixing my hair like 100 times, but when he smiled, all that anxiety melted. Hey, you must be Maya. Jess hasn't stopped talking about you. No pressure, right? Tom joked, pulling out a chair for me. Yeah, no pressure at all, I laughed, settling down. Just deciding the course of my future in one evening. We hit it off instantly. Tom was in finance, a bit dry for my taste, but he made it sound like an adventure every time he talked about his day. He loved hiking, hated sushi, and had a soft spot for cheesy 80s movies. 2 years later, we were setting up our own little home. The wedding was nothing fancy, just close friends and family in a small garden ceremony. It was perfect for us. Tom's mom, Elaine, seemed nice enough, always with a polite smile and ready with a helping hand. We were off to a good start, or so I thought. Living together was a breeze at first. Tom was supportive, and we backed each other up, no matter what. Then the pressure started, subtly at first, but then all the damn time. Maya, when are you two giving me a grandkid? You know, Tom's my only shot at this, Elaine would drop casually into conversation every time she visited. It was like a broken record, each time more pressing than the last. I tried to play it cool, keep the peace. We're working on it, Elaine. These things take time, I'd say, forcing a smile while chopping veggies or setting the table. After dinner, as we were cleaning up, Tom turned to me, his expression softening. Hey, sorry about Mom. She's just eager. We're okay, aren't we? Yeah, we're okay, I assured him, though part of me wondered just how long we could keep batting away the pressure before it started to crack something inside us. Living with the constant pressure to start a family was like walking on eggshells that kept stacking higher. Elaine's reminders were relentless, and with each visit, her patience seemed to wear thinner, like sandpaper against my already frayed nerves. It was a sunny Saturday morning, and Tom and I were enjoying a rare day off together. We were in the middle of a lazy breakfast when Elaine's car pulled up. Before she even stepped in, I knew we were in for another round of her grandkid campaign. Morning, you two. I was just at Linda's grandkid's christening. Adorable little thing. So, any news on my future grandchild? Elaine breezed into the kitchen like a whirlwind of expectation. Tom choked on his coffee, coughing a polite morning, Mom. I plastered a smile on my face, bracing myself. Hi, Elaine. We're just enjoying our breakfast. Want some coffee? I offered, trying to divert the conversation. No, I'm fine. Just here for a quick chat. Maya, you're not getting any younger. You know, it's all about timing. You need to be more proactive. Maybe see a doctor, or try those fertility treatments I was reading about, Elaine suggested, her voice a mix of faux concern and barely concealed urgency. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. We are perfectly capable of handling it, Elaine. And we will see a doctor if we think it's necessary, not because we're on a deadline, I snapped, a little louder than intended. Tom's hand found mine under the table, a silent plea for calm. Mom, really, it's our life. We'll take care of it. Let's not ruin a nice morning, he said, his tone firm yet respectful. Elaine sighed, a theatrical display of her frustration. I'm just saying, I want to see my grandkids while I'm still able to enjoy them. Is that too much to ask? There's more to our lives than just making babies, Elaine. We have careers, our own plans. I started, but Tom squeezed my hand, a gentle warning to tread lightly. I know, but remember, Family is everything, Elaine retorted, her words sharp as she grabbed her purse. I'll leave you to your plans then. Just think about what I said, okay? After she left, the tension lingered like a bad odor. Tom and I spent the rest of the morning in silence, each lost in our thoughts. It was clear Elaine's visits were becoming a battleground, and we were always on the defense. That evening, we decided to take a walk, needing to clear the air. She's my mom and I love her, but I can't stand how she pushes us. It's like she's ticking boxes off some life checklist, Tom vented as we strolled through the park. I get it, she's excited, but it feels like she's more worried about being a grandma than our happiness or health, I replied, frustration simmering. It's like we're not real to her unless we produce a grandchild. We need to set some boundaries, Maya. Next time she starts up, we need to be clear, firm, but clear, Tom said, his hand tightening around mine. As we headed back home, the weight of our situation settled in my stomach like a stone. Setting boundaries with Elaine was going to be tough, but necessary. I wasn't just fighting for our peace, I was fighting for our future, whatever it might hold. Finally, after all the trials and tense dinners, our biggest wish came true, I was pregnant. Tom and I were over the moon, floating on a kind of happy haze that felt almost unreal. But with our good news, came the revival of Elaine's overbearing enthusiasm, dialed up to a whole new level. We had just started fixing up what would be the baby's room, painting the walls a gentle, calming color, and assembling a crib that took more patience than I thought I had. It was during one of those DIY afternoons that Elaine showed up, unannounced as usual, wearing a bright pink t-shirt that screamed future grandmother in bold, impossible to miss letters. Look at this, isn't it cute? Elaine beamed, stretching the fabric out for us to see. Got it custom made. Elaine, could you maybe not announce it to everyone yet? We're still early in the process, and, just trying to be cautious. I tried to sound as gentle as possible, hoping to temper her excitement without sparking an argument. Oh, honey, when you've got news this good, you shout it from the rooftops. Everyone's thrilled for us. Elaine's voice rose with each word, her excitement bubbling over like a pot left too long on the stove. The next few weeks were a blur of Elaine's constant check-ins. She was always calling or dropping by, armed with old wives' tales about pregnancy do's and don'ts, making sure I ate this and avoided that, fussing over my schedule and sleep. It was suffocating. Elaine, I appreciate your help, really, but you hovering like this is stressing me out, I finally snapped one evening after she lectured me on the importance of prenatal yoga for the umpteenth time. The pressure didn't let up, though, and neither did my schedule. Balancing teaching with pregnancy wasn't easy, but I was determined to keep things as normal as possible. That is, until one day at school, halfway through explaining a math problem to my fourth graders, I felt a sharp pain that cut my sentence short. The room spun, the chalk slipped from my hand, and then darkness. I woke up in the hospital, the sterile smell of antiseptic flooding my senses, before my eyes even opened. Tom was there, his face pale and drawn, holding my hand like it was a lifeline. The doctors, they had to do a surgery, he whispered, his voice cracking. It was serious, Maya. You almost didn't, we lost the baby. The words hit like a physical blow, knocking the wind out of me. Tears streamed down my face, uncontrollable, bitter. I was alive, but at what cost? The doctor came in, his face somber as he adjusted his glasses. Maya, I'm afraid the complications were severe. You won't be able to have children in the future. This was a very rare and unfortunate situation. The room felt colder, the walls seemed to close in. I lay there in the hospital bed, the weight of this new reality settling heavily on my chest. Tom squeezed my hand, his presence a small comfort in the vast ocean of my grief. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Elaine stormed into my hospital room like a whirlwind of misplaced anger and desperation. I heard what happened. So, when are you trying again? We need to start planning, she blurted out the moment she entered, barely even acknowledging my state. I was still hooked to a drip, the dull throbbing in my abdomen a constant reminder of what I'd lost. Elaine, I can't have children anymore. The surgery, My voice broke, the reality hitting me again like a cold wave. What do you mean you can't? That's nonsense. Elaine's face turned a shade of red I'd never seen before. She stormed out of the room, presumably to find a doctor who would contradict the irreversible truth. Tom held my hand, his eyes filled with silent apologies for his mother's harshness. It wasn't long before Elaine returned, her fury now fueled by the confirmation of my condition. They said what? This is absurd. You've taken away my chance to be a grandmother. She was yelling so loud that a nurse peeked inside, her eyes wide with concern. Mom, please. Tom interjected. This isn't helping. Maya needs rest. Rest? What she needs is to think about her family, about us. This is selfish. Elaine's words were like daggers, each one slicing through the little composure I had left. I'm not choosing this, Elaine. Why can't you understand? I almost died, I said, my voice a mixture of pain and frustration. Elaine's eyes narrowed. If you were more careful, this wouldn't have happened. You've always been too career-focused. Maybe that's why. Enough. Tom's voice boomed across the room. Mom, leave. Now. We'll talk when you're ready to be reasonable. But she wasn't done. Turning to me, her voice venomous, she hissed. You're not worthy of my son. You can't give him what he needs. You're not a real woman. Her words stung, burning into my memory. I felt a tear slip down my cheek, the saltiness mingling with the bitterness of her judgment. Tom practically dragged her out, her protests still audible down the hallway. Recovery was slow. When I finally returned home, the emptiness was overwhelming. I attempted to go back to teaching, to find solace in the routine and the laughter of children, but each joyful shriek was a reminder of what I'd lost. Seeing a psychologist helped, somewhat. You need to grieve, Maya, not just for your child, but for the part of your life that is now behind you, Dr. Peterson told me in one of our sessions. Her words, meant to heal, somehow also underscored the finality of my loss. One day, amidst a particularly difficult week, I made a decision. I can't teach right now, I confessed to Tom over a quiet dinner. I see them, and I see what I lost. I'm thinking of the library. It's peaceful, quiet. So, I took a position at the local library, leaving the bustling corridors of the school for the muted aisles lined with literature and quiet patrons. It was a place where my heart could start to mend, away from the prying eyes and the heavy expectations. Even after the shift to the quiet life of the library, Elaine's shadow loomed over us, her persistence on the topic of grandchildren unyielding. Her approach became more invasive, her accusations more pointed as the days turned into months. It was my birthday, a day I hoped would be filled with light-hearted moments and a break from the relentless pressure. As I was about to cut the cake, Elaine cornered me in the kitchen, her voice a hissing whisper. When are you going to fix this, Maya? You need to give Tom children. She spat, her words stinging with venom. I froze, the knife in my hand trembling slightly. Elaine, Tom and I have been thinking about adoption. It's a beautiful way to form a family, I replied, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Adoption? Over my dead body. Elaine exploded, her face contorted with disgust. I won't have you bring some stranger's child into our family. Who knows what kind of sick, twisted genes they have. No grandchild of mine will come from someone who couldn't even keep them. Her outburst echoed through the kitchen, and a hushed silence fell over the nearby living room. I felt the eyes of everyone on us, their presence a heavy blanket. That's enough, Elaine. I snapped, the knife clattering to the countertop as I faced her squarely. You don't get to decide how Tom and I build our family. This is our life, our choice. Elaine's eyes narrowed, and with a huff, she stormed out of the kitchen, slamming the door behind her with a force that made the windows rattle. The room remained silent, the joy of the day sucked out with her departure. The seed of discord Elaine planted grew rapidly. The whispers started subtly at first, a nudge here, a look there, suggesting I had been reckless during my pregnancy. The rumors morphed into malicious gossip that I had been drinking and behaving indecently, which supposedly led to my miscarriage. Fury built up in me like a storm. One evening, after overhearing a particularly nasty version of the rumor from a so-called friend, I confronted Elaine over the phone. Elaine, this has to stop now. Spreading lies about me is not only hurtful, it's slander. And I won't tolerate it anymore. If I hear one more rumor, I'm going to the police, and I will sue you for libel, I threatened, my voice cold and hard. There was a pause on the other end of the line, a moment of silence that felt like the calm before a storm. Finally, she spoke, her voice low and devoid of its usual fire. You wouldn't dare. Try me, Elaine. I'm done playing nice. After that call, the rumors stopped as suddenly as they had started. But the damage was done. The relationship was strained, the family gatherings now marked by a chilly formality that even the warmest smiles couldn't thaw. Life seemed to have returned to normal, but everything has changed, thanks to some perverted sense of humor. One morning, I found the first of many electronic postcards in my inbox. The image showed a smiling family, 2 parents with children playing around them, the picture of happiness. Below it, in cruel, stark letters, was written, "You will never be a mother." My heart sank, and a shiver ran down my spine. Who would send something so hateful? As if that wasn't enough, the physical manifestations of this hatred soon followed. One afternoon, upon returning from work, I found a box on our porch. Inside, grotesquely smeared with ketchup, were dolls. Attached was a note that twisted the knife deeper. "This is your fault. You are to blame for losing your child." I was horrified. Each new message, each package, felt like a blow to my already fragile state. Tears were my constant companions as I tried to grapple with the cruelty of these attacks. "Tom, look at this," I said one evening, handing him another vile package. My hands were shaking, my voice barely a whisper. "It's too much. I can't take it anymore." Tom was quick to act. "The neighbor, Mr. Jennings, he's got cameras all over his place. Maybe he caught something on video." We approached Mr. Jennings the next day, who was more than willing to help. He played back the recordings, and there, in clear, undeniable footage, was Elaine. The sight of her, stealthily placing those ghastly parcels at our door, was both a relief and a fresh hell. "Can't believe Mom would go this far," Tom muttered, disgust written all over his face. Armed with the evidence, we confronted Elaine at her house. The video was paused on the screen, her image frozen in the act of hatred. "Look at this, Mom. How could you?" Tom's voice was icy, his usual warmth gone. He pushed the laptop towards her, the betrayal in his voice echoing around the room. Elaine glanced at the screen, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then, without a hint of remorse, she shrugged. "She's spoiled goods, Tom. An inferior woman who can't carry on the family line. I did what I had to do, for you, for the family's sake." Tom stepped in front of me, his posture protective. "If you can't accept Maya, then you can't be a part of our lives. This is your last chance, Mom. Apologize, or we're done." Elaine's face hardened, her eyes cold. "I'm only doing this for you, Tom. She's taking you away from what you deserve." The ride home was silent, each of us lost in our thoughts. I was reeling, the weight of Elaine's betrayal heavy on my shoulders. Tom was seething, the ties with his mother stretched to their breaking point. Tom had been unusually quiet lately, his usual cheer dimmed by the strained silence between him and his mother. It was clear he missed her, despite everything. So, when the Christmas invitation from Elaine came, I agreed for his sake, hoping against hope for some sort of reconciliation. We arrived to a house bustling with relatives and friends, the air thick with the scent of pine and mulled wine. Elaine greeted us with a tight smile, her eyes darting nervously. I took a deep breath, clinging to Tom's arm as we mingled among the guests. The evening progressed smoothly at first, laughter and chatter filling the room. Then, midway through, Tom's ex-fiancée, Sarah, appeared. The room tensed as Elaine ushered her in. "As you all know, Maya here can't have children. So, I think it's time Tom reconsidered his options. Sarah is more than willing to take her place and give me the grandchildren I deserve," Elaine announced, her voice ringing clear and cruel. The silence that followed was suffocating. I stood frozen, my heart pounding in my ears. Tom's voice, low and furious, broke the silence. "Mom, what are you talking about? I didn't agree to any of this." I couldn't hold it in any longer. "How could you?" My eyes scanned the crowd, landing on each face as I continued. "Elaine has been tormenting me. Sending me hateful messages, leaving disturbing packages at our door." I pulled out my phone, showing the video from Mr. Jennings' camera. The footage played, revealing Elaine's vile actions for all to see. Murmurs of shock and disgust rippled through the room. Sarah, looking equally horrified, stepped forward. "I had no idea about any of this. Elaine just invited me here under the guise of catching up. I'm actually engaged to someone else, and I'm not looking to disrupt that." She turned to me, her expression apologetic. "Maya, I'm so sorry. I had no part in this plan. I never wanted children, which is why Tom and I split." The room was now a cauldron of whispers and stunned faces. Elaine's friends and relatives slowly started to leave, their expressions ranging from embarrassed to outraged. It was clear where their sympathies lay. Elaine, now pale and flustered, tried to salvage her dignity. "But I was just trying to ensure my son had a proper family." Tom's voice was cold, final. "By destroying the family you already had? I don't consider you my mother anymore. We're done, Elaine." Months had passed since that disastrous Christmas, and life had started to settle into a new, peaceful rhythm. Tom and I had been busy with the adoption process, our hearts and minds focused on the child who would soon become part of our family. It was a time of hope and healing, but it wasn't long before Elaine tried to wedge herself back into our lives. One brisk morning, a knock at the door disrupted the quiet. I opened it to find Elaine standing there, eyes red, a picture of contrition. "Maya, I've been doing a lot of thinking. I know I've made some terrible mistakes. Can we talk?" Her voice trembled, and for a moment, I saw the vulnerability of a woman who realized she had gone too far. "I'm listening," I said, guardedly, leaving the door ajar as a reminder that she was not welcome to step inside. I've been so foolish, so driven by my own desires, that I lost sight of what's important. I've hurt you and Tom deeply, and I'm sorry. Truly, I am. Can we start over? Please? Elaine, after everything that's happened, it's not that simple. Tom and I are moving forward with adopting a child. That's our focus now, I said, the firmness in my voice reflecting the resolve in my heart. The mention of adoption triggered something in her, her face contorting as the old prejudices bubbled to the surface. You can't seriously be considering bringing someone else's child into this family. It's wrong. That's exactly what we are doing, Elaine. And it's not your decision. It's ours. I shot back, my patience fraying. This is madness, Maya. You're making a mistake. A real family. No, Elaine. We're done here. Without waiting for her to respond, I closed the door firmly in her face, the click of the latch sounding like the final seal on our relationship. Inside, Tom was standing at the top of the stairs, having heard the exchange. Everything okay? He asked, coming down to join me. I think it finally is, I said, leaning into his embrace. I told her we're adopting, and she didn't take it well. It's really over this time. Tom nodded, his expression resolute. Let's make it official then. Together, we blocked Elaine's number on our phones and sent messages to our friends and family, explaining that we had decided to sever ties with her for the sake of our future family's peace and well-being. The adoption process moved forward, and each step brought with it a surge of excitement and anticipation. We filled out forms, attended interviews, and prepared a room filled with love and the promise of new beginnings. As the waiting drew to a close, I felt a pull towards my old life, the classroom. I returned to teaching, the joy of interacting with the children rekindling a light within me that had dimmed during those dark times. Standing in front of my class, I realized how much I had grown, how resilient I had become. The children's laughter echoed through the halls, a sweet sound that filled the empty spaces left by lost dreams. It reminded me that while some doors close, others open. And behind this new door was a future bright with the colors of hope and the laughter of a child who would call us mom and dad.